Salute. How y'all doing? I'm back at y'all again with another video. My name is Derek Williams. Just one boy in the comments section of YouTube. How y'all doing? As I told you on the prior video, I try to keep my videos brief and concise. I try to keep them under 10 minutes if I can. Because I know your time is valuable. But yet I appreciate all y'all that do watch this video. I thank you very much because you ain't got to listen to me. You're just a Mississippi boy. But this topic is so broad, so deep, and so diabolical that if I run over my 10 minutes, you understand why. On Tuesday, September the 11th, 2001, you had a plane strike the North Tower of the World Trade Center complex at 8:46 a.m. A second plane at 9:03 a.m. struck the South Tower, and everyone saw the event unfold on live TV. It was a nice spring day in North Manhattan that day. Clear skies, the whole shebang. Well, as you know, the buildings came tumbling down, pandemonium everywhere. A lot of people died. A little bit over 3,000 people died that day. And also we had an alleged event in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, and a plane allegedly hitting the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And I'll get to that. I'll touch upon that a little bit later. But I'm going to freestyle some of this stuff because, again, there's so much stuff to cover. Your time is valuable, and I know I'm going to miss out some other things. However, I'm going to issue a personal challenge to a fellow YouTuber, Cash Me Out, I Am Queen Supreme. This woman goes hard in the paint with regards to showing you clips, slides, their editing. She's beyond me. I can't do this any justice. So this is a personal challenge. If she wants to undertake it, to make a little video concerning events of 9/11, because the only thing I can do is just basically tell it to you off the top of my head. But as they say, seeing is believing. But I want to read you something. There was a think tank called the Project for a New American Century, and according to Wikipedia, it's called a neoconservative think tank that has strong ties to the American Enterprise Institute. The PNAC's website said it was established in the spring of 1997 as a nonprofit educational organizational group whose goal it is to promote American global leadership. When I hear that, that's telling me they want to take over everything that they haven't taken over already. As we know, America is the new Rome. All right. And they had a document on their website called Rebuilding America's Defenses. And a quote that they used in that document will foretell events that are soon to come. And according to the PNAC document, it reads, and I quote, "The American peace has proven itself stable, peaceful, and durable. Yet no moment in international politics can be frozen in time. Even a global Pax Americana will not preserve itself. To preserve this American peace through the 21st century, the PNAC report concludes that the global order must have a secure foundation on unquestioned U.S. military preeminence." We run everything, and we coming to see you when you talk wrong. But this one line is 9/11 in my opinion. The report struck a prescient note when it observed that the process of transformation is likely to be a long one, absent some type of catastrophic and catalyzing event like a new Pearl Harbor. It's well known that in 1941, our government knew that the Japanese were going to hit Pearl Harbor out in Hawaii, and our government stood down, and you know the rest. So this is not uncommon in history that governments do what they call a false flag or self-inflicted wound. All right. So now that we have that framework established and that little bit of history established, we know that governments won't think twice about sacrificing some of their own people in order to push forth an agenda for domination and power. This is well known. Excuse me one second. This documentary was made by Alex Jones, and this is the title of it is called Terror Storm. And in it you had a Gulf of Tonkin incident and other incidents throughout history that shows you chapter and verse where governments, particularly our government, wouldn't think twice to sacrifice people. As a matter of fact, they have a document on the books as we speak, and they have not taken it down. It's called Operation Northwoods. And in that document, it tells you that, yes, they actually wanted to shoot American citizens on the streets at that time in order that we can go in and invade Cuba. All right? And we also have other incidences throughout history. Actually, another way of saying it is called the Hegelian dialectic, meaning problem, reaction, solution. They come up with a problem. They think about it well in advance. They know that they will have a predetermined reaction, and they already had a solution on the books. This is well known. Now, this is the part here you'll have to excuse me because I'm just going to go off the top, and I just have some notes that I had to write down. All right. So starting to my knowledge, again, July 25th, 2001, a radio show host based in Austin, Texas by the name of Alex Jones said that if there was any attack on American soil, we probably can look to elements of our government. At that time, it was communications from all spy agencies all over the world. Italian, French, Egyptian, everybody was telling America, look, y'all finna get hit. And you might want to look into that. Our country did nothing. All right. Now, actually, we fast forward to the day of the event. Did you know that former San Francisco Mayor Willie Brown was told not to fly that day? Now it has come out that actually former National Security Advisor Condoleezza Rice told this man do not fly into Lower Manhattan that day. I've also heard throughout time, well since that time, that the Jews, whoever they are, the Jews were not supposed to report to work, and many of them didn't, so I understand. All right. And we have a black guy by the name of Barry Jennings. He was actually in World Trade Center 7, the building that was not hit by a plane, yet it fell in free fall speed. I'll let you judge on how that building fell. Richard Gage from the Architects and Engineers, I actually had a chance to meet him when I went to one of the World Trade Center events a few years back. He categorically tells you, yes, that it had to have been bombs in that building because it looked like a controlled demolition. But back to Mr. Jennings. Barry Jennings said that when he was in the 6th floor of his building, he heard explosions, and him and a gentleman that was trying to escape were blown back. All right. He actually granted an interview to Jason Burmers, who at that time did work for Alex Jones. Well, some of you may know, some of you may not know. Mr. Jennings is now dead, and his family isn't talking. I'll let you be the judge on what happened to Mr. Jennings. Also, we had a black woman in Washington, D.C. by the name of April Gallup. April Gallup worked at the Pentagon, and she actually worked on the E-wing where the so-called plane had hit that building. Well, she categorically denies seeing a plane. She said there was no bodies, no seats, no fuselage, no wing, no tail, any of that. And actually, I saw her YouTube presentation this morning when I was at work. It's about 14 minutes long. If you're interested in hearing from the horse's own mouth, as they say, you can go to YouTube and type in April Gallop. That's Gallop. All right. John Miller is a former ABC reporter. In 1998, he actually was given an interview by guess who? Osama bin Laden. Right? But since 9/11 has happened, we've spent millions of dollars in surveillance. We supposed to have the most sophisticated technology on the planet, and you couldn't find a 6'4" ailing man with on dialysis in a cave in Afghanistan. But John Miller, and his ABC crew found him. The video is on YouTube if you're interested in watching it, so you judge. Colonel Anthony Shaver is an distinguished lieutenant colonel in the Army. He was in a project called Able Danger. They had guns pointed at bin Laden and actually could have killed him, I think, a couple of times. But our government blocked him at every turn. The CIA at that time was headed by this guy named George Tenet. But Anthony Shaver is on record as saying that, yes, he was stopped from killing bin Laden. And this is before 2001. So again, you judge, but he has tons of videos on YouTube talking about it. But the the project to kill bin Laden was called Project Able Danger. All right. Dr. Steve Pachinik is an distinguished Army officer and doctor, and he's on record as saying that bin Laden died actually of Marfan's disease or Marfan's syndrome in 2002. Yet the movie SEAL Team 6 and Eagle Dark 30 or whatever movie that was, where they were doing the events over, it showed you that that Obama went in and killed this guy is actually a lie. And for me, no body was ever shown. So if you don't have a body, we can't actually confirm that the person that they say got killed was actually in fact bin Laden. But again, Dr. Steve Pachinik, his name, he spells his name Pieckzenik, Steve Pachinik. He asserts that bin Laden died of Marfan's disease in 2002. So you judge. All right. One other thing right quick, excuse me. Yes, here we go. Now I think it was 19 hijackers, all of them from Saudi Arabia, right? And they were trained at some of the aviation schools here in our country, right? However, did you know the BBC reported here that some of the 9/11 hijackers are still alive? And this story has not been retracted. I pulled this off the internet today, so it's still up for you to read. The BBC carried this story. So at least 4 of the 19 hijackers are still alive. Again, this guy has to be the greatest crime in American history, at least from what I see. Donna Summer, the disco diva from the 1970s, I think she had a song called Bad Girls, and my favorite song from her, and probably her biggest hit to date, was She Works Hard for the Money. Well, she lived in Lower Manhattan, and when those buildings came down, she said that she was covered in the soot and debris from those buildings. Well, she died at 63 years old, and she went to her grave saying that she got cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer a few years after 9/11, and she said that she believed that she got her cancer from the dust and debris from 9/11, from the buildings coming down, I should say. As you know, many of the first responders in New York, many of them are dead and some of them are dying. Why? Because they received cancer. Christine Todd Whitman, who was the EPA director at that time. This is where I'm going off the top of the head, but this is stuff I remember and can pull just like that. Christine Todd Whitman, the former New Jersey governor, she was head of the EPA at this time. And this is a direct quote. She told the workers that the air is safe to breathe. Well, we all know now that that's a lie, because again, many of the first responders and people that went to go work in that pile, as they call it, died from cancer and are dying now and suffering as we speak. I read a report, I could not find it off the internet today, but I remember that distinctly. Some or all of the first responders, dogs, the rescue dogs that went in to sniff out bodies, most and all of them are dead from various forms of cancer. So again, I'll let you judge on that. So right now, people, I'm about at 14 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and tie it all up right quick. But these are some of the things you want to look at. Again, this is a heavy study, and I know I'm not doing it justice. I just want to give you all a quick background and some of the highlights and lowlights of this fateful day. Actually, again, it was on a Tuesday 17 years ago today. All right. Just some resource material for you if you ever wanted to look into it. Again, this is Aftermath 9, 10 questions about 9/11, and this is where I first came across Alex Jones. And somebody, you can drop it in the comment section and say, Derek, you flat out crazy, you just listen to this boy, he controlling you. But the boy ain't been wrong on too much of nothing. So if you can show me where he was wrong, aside from the Pizzagate thing, and he made a retraction, and most people actually run with that Pizzagate thing. We know it's child pedophilia, so he was dead on the money with that too. And for Sandy Hook, that's a whole nother story, but I'll get into it just for a second. If you go to FBI.gov, you can see in Newtown, Connecticut, in the year 2013, I think that's no 2012, when the Newtown school shootings happened. The FBI posted no murders for that calendar year. You can go to their website and see it for yourself. And there's a guy named Wolfgang Halbig. Type in Wolfgang Halbig, Sandy Hook. He talks about this chapter and verse, and he makes a very compelling argument that it was a whole bunch of funny stuff going on. And one of the fathers of one of the alleged victims, his name is Robbie Parker. He was on CNN. Right before he went to go and give a news conference about his child being killed that day, you can see him smiling and cheesing. What parent do you know that just got a child shot to death is going to be smiling and cheesing and then fall into a big sob 30 seconds later? This is all on the internet. You can see it for yourself. Just type in Robbie Parker, Sandy Hook, and you can see him smiling. This documentary is called Fable Enemies. It's produced by a guy out of New York City by the name of Jason Burmas. I think he's part of We Are Changed with Luke Radowski and all of them. Well, he used to work for Alex Jones and InfoWars, and he basically gives you a rundown of Bin Laden, the events of 9/11. Barry Jennings is featured in this documentary. Again, a heavy study. This DVD is called The Truth and Lies About 9/11. It was made by a guy he committed suicide, but he went hard in the paint. He was a former Los Angeles police detective by the name of Mike Rupert. He had a website called From the Wilderness. Now, this one here, he speaks about peak oil and beyond, and the events of 9/11. If you don't know what peak oil is, peak oil is a phenomenon where the oil that's currently in the ground will run out, and at that time, civilization that we know it is going to have a problem because everything is run off petroleum. But peak oil, at least from my studies, that's a hoax. So he got that wrong. But Mike Rupert was a good dude. I followed him heavy in the early 2000s, but he committed suicide. Mike Rupert is most famously known for actually shouting down one of Clinton's soon-to-be lieutenants in a school when he actually called this guy out for CIA running drugs and guns in South Central Los Angeles. The black people stood up and gave this man a standing ovation. Good dude, and salute to him, and may he rest in peace. Also, a great book to read is by Nafis Hamed. This is a British Muslim guy, and the title of this book is called The War on Freedom. This is actually the first material that I got on the topic. And again, I said it in another video, I said with this one too. Damn it, this is a page turner. Okay? And lastly, I can tell you this just off the top of my head. Another good documentary that I have is here we go. The best documentary ever made concerning the events of 9/11 is called Loose Change. This was produced by We Are Changed. This is Luke Radowski out of New York City and Jason Burmas. I think Alex Jones had a hand in this as well. But it shows you chapter and verse that yes, there were bombs in the buildings. You can see the crackles as the building came down. Okay? Now, also, you had to remember, right before 9/11, for those of you who are in the stock market like I am, you have these things called shorts, puts, and calls. Well, a bunch of put options. A put option is where you will bet that a company's stock will go down. Well, it was heavy trading for American Airlines and United Airlines prior to 9/11, and it's at least anywhere from $3 to $5 million still on the table that no one has come to collect on the put options. How would someone know that those stocks would fall, and why was all this heavy trading prior to 9/11? So again, I'll let you judge. Also, I can't leave out Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Everyone knows that I believe it was Flight 93 that came down over Shanksville, Pennsylvania. That's right outside of Pittsburgh. Well, the coroner that was on the scene said there were no bodies, there were no blood, no fuselage, no cabin section, no wing section, no the fantail section, nothing, nothing that you could distinguish as being a plane crash. And one last point that I want to bring up is that I'm here in Philadelphia. In 1990, I had just got out of service. I would never forget it because I almost lost my life that night. This is a true story. This is on my daughter. I'm going out, and this is a Saturday night, and I'm down in Center City, Philadelphia. And it was on me. I was going to drink. I hadn't drank yet. This was like maybe 10:30 at night. And all of a sudden, maybe 10 cars up, I'm seeing everybody slam on their brakes, slam on their brakes. So here I am. It's a chain reaction. So I almost hit a dude. So come to find out, when I got my bearings back, I look up, and I look up in downtown, the Mellon building, which is a bank, was on fire. That building was on fire for, I think, at least 8 hours. It did not fall on its own weight. And I'm saying that to say this. You had two buildings that fell at free fall speed because two planes hit it. And the jet fuel is not hot enough to bend steel. Steel has to be at least 3,500 degrees or higher to start melting. You had a high-rise building in Argentina, I think, either Argentina or Spain. I think it's like 2007 or whatever. That building was on fire for 17 hours. It did not fall. But you're telling me two buildings that were struck by planes fell at free fall speed. You want to look into this guy named Richard Gage, and his website is called Architects and Engineers for 9/11. And lastly, I want to finish up with Building 7. A lot of people, from what I understand, even in New York City, didn't know that Building 7 had failed, and most of the country wasn't told that it's called the Solomon Brothers Building. The CIA, the FBI, and other agencies are housed in this building. Well, at 5:26 in the afternoon of September 11, 2001, that building pancaked. But the classic thing about it is that you had a BBC reporter saying that the Solomon Brothers building fell, but it was in her background, just like Elmo is behind me right now. The building was still up. Now, it was smoking, but she said that it had fell. How did she know that? Why would she say this? And the building was clearly behind her. This is on YouTube as well. Just type in Building 7 BBC. It'll show it to you. So you had a building fall at free fall speed. No building. I mean, no plane hit. No fires. No nothing. None of that. But it just fell. It actually was fires in the basement. I'm sorry. Let me get that right. But this again, I'm just freestyling. But the building was not hit by a plane or anything, but it fell at free fall speed. Again, you want to look into Richard Gage, Architects and Engineers, and he'll tell you all about it. So again, this is a heavy study, a heavy topic, and I'm always, even to this day, I'm still fascinated by the stuff I find out. And this is a precursor. Actually, 9/11 is a precursor to the Alfred P. Murrah building that was blown up in 1995. And a good documentary you want to see on that is called A Noble Lie. A witness said that she did in fact see people putting in gray sticks of butter in the building columns. Why would they do that? Bill Clinton is on record as saying he contributed his re-election in 1996 to the bombing of the Murrah building. So he got reelected on the over the bodies of dead babies. It was a nursery in that school, and it was a bunch of babies that got burned. They got sizzled like bacon. All right. So again, this is a heavy study, and I'm going to challenge my good Cash Me Out Queen. Maybe she could put something together. I'm at 24 minutes now, and I really didn't want to talk this long, because again, I know your time is important. So I'm gonna go on and wrap it up right now. Shout out to Irene Yvette and the Woke One Hayes. I understand they lost family members over cancer, and I did a cancer video day before yesterday. Again, my heart go out to you and your families, and want y'all to be strong for your families. Y'all some soldiers. And also, I want to send a special shout out to my man Mark Davis. He done gave me some nice words, as well as the Woke One Haynes. Again, I'm just one guy, y'all. I just appreciate y'all listening, and I'm I don't know too much of nothing. Again, I'm challenging Cashmere Queen. I don't know too much of nothing. I'm just one of them boys that I will pick up a book, and like Jordan Maxwell said, I'm just an ordinary man that's seeking extraordinary knowledge. So again, thank y'all for listening. All y'all take care of yourself. I'm gonna see y'all in the chat room, Greenville, Mississippi, till I die.